I thought I would be happier by now. Have you ever heard yourself say something like that? Or, I used to know who I was. Or, I am doing everything I am supposed to do, but this life does not feel like mine anymore. Sometimes we begin a sentence about our lives and stop before the ending, not because there is nothing inside us, but because the truth is still taking shape. Welcome to the Self-Care Cafe podcast. I'm your hostess, Pami Parker. Here at the cafe, we take a gentle pause from the busyness of life and gather around conversations that nourish the heart, the mind, and the spirit. Today, we are making room for the sentences we have not finished, with help from someone who works every day with the stories people tell about change. Dr. Lena Morris is a narrative therapist and educator. Lena, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you, Pami. I love the image of an unfinished sentence because it does not treat uncertainty as an empty space. It suggests there is already meaning there, even if the meaning is not complete yet. That feels especially important during transitions. People often want language before they are ready for a decision. They want to know, what is my new identity? What is the plan? What comes next? But sometimes the honest answer is simply, I'm not sure yet. Exactly. And I would add that being unsure is not automatically a sign that someone is stuck. It may mean the old description has stopped fitting, while the new description has not had enough time, safety, or experience to form. So, narrative therapy is partly interested in the words we use to describe what is happening. Yes, although not because words magically solve difficult circumstances. Language can help us notice which parts of an experience are facts, which parts are conclusions, and which parts are old stories we may have inherited. If someone says, I am a failure, I do not want to argue with them or paste a positive slogan over the pain. I want to become curious about how failure entered the story, what it is claiming, and whether it describes the whole person. That distinction matters. A person may be facing a real loss, a job change, financial pressure, caregiving demands, or a relationship ending. We do not want to turn those realities into a language exercise that says, just think differently. Absolutely. Compassion does not require pretending that pressure is imaginary. It means we try not to add unnecessary self-punishment to an already difficult situation. I am under strain is different from I am incapable. This decision has consequences is different from I always ruin things. Let's stay with a sentence many people recognize. I am not myself. It can appear after burnout, grief, becoming a parent, leaving a career, or simply living through a season that asks more of us than we expected. I would want to slow that sentence down. I am not myself sounds like a final verdict, but it may be pointing towards several different truths. Perhaps you are exhausted from being dependable for everyone else. Perhaps you are grieving a former rhythm. Perhaps you are becoming more honest, and honesty feels unfamiliar because you have spent years being agreeable. So instead of asking, how do I get myself back, we might ask, which part of me feels unfamiliar right now? Yes, we might also ask, what has changed around me? What am I carrying? What am I doing now that I could not do before? Those questions do not erase discomfort. They create breathing room around it. That sentence can carry so much borrowed judgment. Further along, according to whose timeline? Whose definition of recovery, success, confidence, or adulthood? And yet, sometimes a person really is behind on something. A deadline was missed, a bill needs attention, a decision cannot wait forever. I appreciate that you are not suggesting every concern is just an inner critic.
That is important. The goal is not to soften every fact until it becomes comfortable. The goal is to separate a specific problem from a global attack on the self. We can say, I have a decision to make, without saying, I am defective because I have not made it. Then we can ask what information, support, or time is actually needed.
That brings us to a few sentence beginnings listeners can try. Not as homework, and not as a test of how insightful they can be. More like doors we can open gently. The first is, I used to believe. Lena, what might that reveal?
It can reveal an old rule that once helped us belong or feel safe. I used to believe rest had to be earned. I used to believe being needed was the same as being loved. I used to believe changing my mind meant I was unreliable. The point is not to shame the person who held that belief. She may have been doing her best with the information she had.
I like that it begins with used to, but it does not demand that we reject everything from the past. Some old beliefs may still contain a value. Caring for people may matter to me, even if I no longer believe I must care for everyone at my own expense.
That is beautifully put. We can keep the value and revise the rule. Generosity does not have to mean depletion. Responsibility does not have to mean self-erasure. Then there is, I am learning. This one feels less like a declaration and more like a moving path. Yes, I am learning that my body notices strain before my mind catches up. I am learning that a quiet no can be a complete sentence. I am learning that I can disappoint someone and still be a caring person. The phrase allows for partial understanding. It does not say, I have mastered this.
And it leaves room for the day when the old pattern returns.
Exactly. Learning is not disqualified by repetition. Sometimes noticing the pattern 1 hour earlier is meaningful progress. The third beginning is, I miss. I can imagine some listeners resisting that one, especially when they are trying very hard to move forward. Missing is not a command to return. You may miss the energy you had before burnout, the ease in a friendship, the person you were before a loss, or the certainty you felt in an earlier chapter. Sometimes we miss a feeling more than a circumstance. We may not miss the old job. We may miss feeling capable. We may not miss the old relationship. We may miss being known. That gives longing somewhere to go, without making the past the only place it can be met. Yes, we can honor what was meaningful and still ask how that value might be present in a new form. And the fourth is, what I need now is, not what would make everyone comfortable, not what would make us look productive. What do I need now? The answer may be sleep, information, a conversation, a boundary, a walk, or help with something ordinary. It might be, what I need now is to stop researching and notice how I feel. Or, what I need now is to send one honest message. A small need is not an unimportant need. Sometimes the sentence brings up more feeling than we expected. A person writes, I miss my old life, and suddenly the grief is not abstract anymore. Then the person is allowed to stop. Put the pen down. Feel your feet on the floor. Look around and name a few things you can see. Take a drink of water. Reflection is optional. It is not a performance you must complete. If what surfaces feels overwhelming or difficult to hold alone, reaching out to a trusted person or qualified mental health professional can be a wise next step. So the practice is not about producing a hopeful ending. It is about telling the truth carefully enough that we can hear what the truth is asking for. Yes, and sometimes the truth asks for action. Sometimes it asks for rest. Sometimes it says, I need more information. Sometimes it says, I am not ready. That is still information. Let's offer listeners a practice now. If you have paper nearby, you can use it. If not, you can listen and let the words form quietly. Choose one beginning. I used to believe, I am learning, I miss, or what I need now is.
You do not need to choose the most important sentence. Choose the one that has a little energy around it. Then complete it with the first words that feel honest enough for this moment. They do not have to be wise, polished, or hopeful.
Take a comfortable breath in. Let it go without trying to make it perfect. Now begin writing or begin thinking. If you get stuck, add the words "and underneath that."
Underneath, I am fine, might be, I am lonely. Underneath, I need to decide, might be, I need more information. Underneath, I miss the past, might be, I want to feel hopeful again. You do not have to follow every sentence. Notice what arrives and let it be enough.
Stay with your words for a little while. Notice your body. Is there tightness? Warmth? Heaviness? Or a little more space? Now ask, what is one small action that honors what I noticed? It might be a walk, a reminder on your calendar, a request for help, a declined invitation, or a sentence to someone you trust. I am still finding the words, but I want to talk. And if no action is clear, you can write, the next kind step is to wait. Waiting with attention is different from abandoning yourself. An unfinished sentence does not need to become a decision today.
You can return to this practice during a weekly pause, on a quiet walk, or before a difficult conversation. Let the sentence stems be invitations, not assignments.
Over time, language may become more specific. I am lost might become I am between familiar roles. I am behind might become I have a real task in front of me and I need support. I do not know who I am might become I am meeting parts of myself I have not had time to hear. Lena, what would you want someone to remember if they are listening from a very uncertain place?
I would say this. Your uncertainty may not be proof that you are failing to move forward. It may be evidence that you are paying attention. You do not have to force an ending in order to honor the sentence you are living.
That is a beautiful place to pause. Choose one sentence beginning to carry with you today. I used to believe, I am learning, I miss, or what I need now is. Listen without judgment and let one small compassionate step be enough.
For the written reflection prompt and more gentle resources for navigating life's transitions, visit the Self-Care Cafe website. You can return to this practice whenever you need a little more room to listen inward.
Thank you for listening. Take one soft breath in and let your shoulders release as you exhale. Come as you are. Leave nourished.